This is Sports Daily on Wichita's #1 sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
All right, welcome in, everybody. It is a Tuesday edition of Sports Daily, and we are glad to be with you. Jacob Albracht, Tommy Castor here. Got you for the next couple hours. Exciting show today. Happy to be joined in the next segment by Sydney McKinney, all-world softball superstar for the Wichita State Shocker softball team. Outright conference champions, getting ready for one more contest before the conference tournament, and then we hope hosting a region.
Yeah, it looks like we lost Jacob there for a second. Of course, if you're watching the video stream, you'll notice he's frozen on the screen right now. So that's great. He was just introducing the show. Jacob Albracht, Tommy Castor here on Sports Daily. We'll be rejoined by Jacob here as soon as he gets reconnected. As he was mentioning, Sydney McKinney on the show at 9:20 this morning. We will have her to talk about Shocker softball, of course, the amazing season that Shocker softball has had here so far early on. Of course, hoping that they end up getting a regional to host at Wilkins Stadium. That's the next goal. So we're going to talk to Sydney McKinney about all of that here on Sports Daily in the next segment. So hang on for that. That's going to be coming up here for you a little bit later on the program. If you want to join the show, of course, you can always call the IHOP hotline at 869-1240. Would love to have you join the program. We launched our video stream here this week officially. So if you want to do that, if you want to join the show and watch the video stream, I will say right now it's just me because, of course, we're missing Jacob here. We're going to get him back here momentarily. But if you want to see my big face right here, big on the screen, you can do that on the KFH YouTube page, on the Sports Daily Facebook page, and also on the Sports Daily Twitter page. The cool thing on YouTube and Facebook is that when you comment, those comments will show up directly on the screen. So we'll be able to read them live on the air, mention you, talk about whatever the topic is that you want to talk about if you want to comment on YouTube and on Facebook. We're going to kick off the show, though, once we get Jacob back here, talking a little bit about the NBA playoffs continuing last night. How about the Denver Nuggets? Man, I'll tell you what, we talked about it on the show yesterday briefly. I said at the time, I wasn't totally sure that I thought that the Nuggets would be able to win an NBA title. Well, I don't know. After last night and after what Jokic was able to do on the court, yeah, I'll tell you what, I think that the Nuggets, they've solidified it in my mind that they should be and probably are the betting favorites to win the NBA championship. How about Jokic? Man, I'll tell you what, in game 2, beating the Phoenix Suns 97-87. I'll tell you what, just the fact that Jokic has been considered this MVP candidate throughout the entire season is something that I think is remarkable. The way that this team has been able to gel together with Christian Brown and the way that he's been able to step up and going after a team in the Phoenix Suns led by Kevin Durant, and just what they've been able to do in shutting him down, getting that 10-point victory in game number 2. I'll tell you what, I think that at this point, the Nuggets, they've got to be the presumptive favorites to win the NBA title. I just think that that's the way that it is right now, especially if Nikola Jokic is able to continue to deliver game in and game out. Very impressive. And I'm not sure who in the West will be able to beat them. Of course, we're going to be able to see the Lakers and the Warriors. And of course, we know what LeBron's been able to do. We know what Steph has done over the course of his career. Watching those two guys battle it out in that playoff series is going to be so much fun to watch. But man, it's solidified in my mind right now, at least in the West, the Denver Nuggets should be representing the Western Conference in the NBA Finals. And I don't know if there's a team in the East that can beat them either. So I definitely think that, after watching what the Nuggets were able to do last night in game number 2, man, it's going to be really difficult, I think, for Phoenix to get back in this game. I think it's going to be really difficult for them to try to eat into this 2-0 lead. At this point, I think it's definitely all Denver at this point. And I don't know. I think we have Jacob back here. Jacob, we're talking about. Okay, good. I'm talking a little bit about Denver and Phoenix last night. Denver taking a 2-0 lead. And I said it yesterday on the show. I wasn't sure at the time yesterday that Denver could win an NBA title. After last night, it's pretty much solidified in my mind that they should be the presumptive favorites.
I mean, were you ready for them to lock Phoenix down to 87 points in the game, 14 points in the fourth quarter? I mean, that Denver has this reputation of being soft, right? And they're not just winning right now in the postseason. I mean, they're dominating right now in the postseason, right? They had the one loss to Minnesota. But those margins of victory were 29 points, right? 9 points, 9 points, the loss. And they played a tight one in the clincher. And then they beat Phoenix now by 18 points and by 10. They're not just winning, they're dominating. And in a lot of these games, they're dominating with great defense, which, I mean, look, you and I can both fully admit, like, we're not regular season NBA guys much anymore. We don't lock into every game, but I know what the narratives are. And the narrative for Denver for a long time is that they've been soft. And I don't think they're playing soft. I don't know. I don't know if I can still call them the favorite. Maybe it's just ingrained in our head. They're the 1 seed, and they've been in the postseason so many times. And for the first time in a while, Tommy, it feels like they're kind of healthy.
I'm just not sure who can beat them, right? I mean, I know that they're going to. You've got LA. You've got Golden State in the other series in the West. Man, I think that with the way that Jokic and Christian Brown and the supporting cast in Denver, at least the way that they played the first 2 games in their series against Phoenix, I don't know if the Lakers or the Warriors can beat them in a best-of-7 series in the Western Conference Finals. And then when you look at all the teams in the East, I don't know if there's a team in the East that can beat them either. So, I mean, there's a reason they're the 1 seed, right? But, man, I'm not sure I want to bet against them at this point.
Yeah, I'm trying to look here and see now what the futures are in the NBA, just because I'm curious to see if that's changed. I don't think it has. It's just interesting. And we talked about this, like, as a 1 seed. Yeah, okay, so they're now the second heavy favorite. The Celtics are still top, even though they lost game 1 to the 76ers. The Nuggets are 4-1 at this point, are the second highest or second, lowest, whichever way you want to look at it, odds to win the title. So they're the favorite in the West. Now, I'm sure that changed overnight when they went up 2-0. But I still think the Suns could win this series. I think the Suns are talented. I think the Warriors or the Lakers could. I do think it's wide open.
2-0. You think Phoenix can come back?
Well, yeah. I mean, they lost 2 games at home. They still haven't lost that game at home that typically dooms you in a series. Certainly, the pressure's on for them to come back home and win a game. But if they do that, now you're 2-1 at home. The series to me is far from over. I would obviously still lean Denver. But I think the reality is, just quite simply, we should have been leaning Denver maybe anyway, right? Like, we shouldn't overlooking Denver as one, because the general public has been so wrong all the way through, right? Like, very wrong. There was no chance the Heat could beat the Bucks. That's the one series where, there's no chance. And here we are, and Denver looks great. And
that's the parity. That's the parity,
which is
right?
fantastic. And I don't remember a time like where there's ever been this much. Like, it's not always a foregone conclusion, but it's not even like hyperbole. Legitimately, every team left outside of. I mean, I don't know that I'm really counting on the Knicks as so much, but I think every other team, that's 7 out of 8. I would give a chance to win a title, and a decent chance, right? Not just like a puncher's chance, but a decent chance to go get the title. And that's pretty awesome.
Right. I don't know if look, I think that when you've got these teams that all have individual performers that have been able to step up from game to game. In one game in the last series or a couple games, it was Jimmy Butler for the Heat, right? And then James Harden had the game of his life. And then Steph put up 50 points. And then LeBron had a 20-point, 20 rebound effort in their last series. And then,
Star, by the way.
Right, exactly. One after another, after another, after another. We talked about it yesterday. We talked about the fact that you don't have this quote unquote super team right now where they're all jammed up into one team. You've got individual superstars on each team that's contending right now, and each one of them stepping up to do their part to get their team to the next step, and that's what we're seeing right now. I think it's a travesty that we don't, and I say we collectively, nationally, we don't talk enough about Nikola Jokic as the best player in the NBA. He's in a market like Denver where he's not going to get the national attention. He's not flashy, like some of the other superstars in the NBA. The guy is, in my mind, solidified the MVP last night for sure, if he hadn't already. I think that there needs to be more discussion around him on a day-to-day basis that he is the best player in the NBA right now, game in and game out. And I think that effort last night absolutely cemented that.
It has been, I love it. This is why the NBA playoffs are so good, is because the regular season has become so watered down, and the NBA's got a problem here. Let's go a little bigger picture here, because I've wanted to talk about this for a while. The NBA's got a problem. Major League Baseball had a problem. And we think maybe they've taken some big steps to fixing it, right? Games were getting too long. The shift was altering the game. The spirit of the game, in my opinion, was kind of going out the window. It was all, the game of baseball, the way it was designed, was not being played. Well, the NBA's got a problem. And I don't know what they're going to do about it, because this load management and all this, it's a problem. Right. You never know in the NBA, like, who's going to play in the regular season. I mean, it happens to some degree in the postseason, but in the regular season, like, if you're a fan going to the games, which is where this is probably the biggest issue, you can deny it all you want, but this becomes a big issue for people trying to bet the sport, right? Like, I don't know what they can do with this load management stuff, because coaches are going to do it. Right. And what could you even step in and say? Like, you can't sit out players. Like, what? So I don't know, but it's a problem.
I think the only thing you can do, honestly, I think the only thing that can happen, ownership of teams start building it into contracts, where you're obligated to play a certain number of games, barring an injury.
Well, they'll fake injuries.
That's going to be, I know, but you have to be evaluated by the team doctor and all that crap. Like, I think that can be a part of it too, but that's the only way if you want to enforce that. Or I guess that it's not only that, I guess that the Players Association and the owners can, try to put language in the next, collective bargaining agreement when that comes up. That's really the only way that you're going to be able to legislate this, at a higher level, to ensure that you've got stars that are playing basically night in and night out. I understand taking a night off, here and there, if you've got a series of multiple games in a row and you got to take a night off. I get that. It happens in Major League Baseball too, to an extent where, you've got players that are rested when they've got a long series or whatever. I totally understand that, but it's become a little bit of an epidemic in the NBA where you've got, top players that are not playing fairly regularly throughout the regular season. I think if it becomes that big of an issue, that's basically the only way to legislate that.
Maybe it'd be as simple, and maybe a starting point is, if you're going to do that, you have to let us know,
right?
At 8 a.m. right? Like, first thing that morning, you got to tell us, or the night before, you got to let us know, and at least then people could be warned. But if you're the NBA, that's sort of shooting yourself in the foot, because if I know LeBron James isn't going to play, buying tickets to a Lakers game, I'm not going to watch the Lakers play if LeBron's not there. So I don't know what you do. But it just gets highlighted when we get to the postseason, and the postseason's so awesome and unpredictable. It's because you can't really take a whole lot from what we saw in the regular season. So I don't know. I don't know what you do, but it has been something I think about all the time. Like, I guess the NBA's biggest issue for me is when I watch a regular season game, I'm not always convinced both teams are trying their hardest. And that's a problem, right? It's a problem the NFL will never have because they don't play enough games. Baseball is not a game that you can play and not be trying your hardest, just, in its own essence. That's why the All-Star game is the best for baseball, right? But the guys get days off all the time. And so I don't know what you do if you're the NBA.
When it happens in baseball, and it rarely does, but when it does happen in baseball, it becomes a really, really big deal. There was a story a couple of days ago about Luis Robert from the White Sox not hustling out a ground ball and was pulled from the game. The manager and the White Sox have their own, issues that we can talk about later, but yanked him, got him out of the game because he wasn't hustling down to first base. That doesn't happen in the NBA where you've got, players, and I get it. It's fast paced, right? You're running up and down the court over and over and over again. It's different than baseball where that's really not the case. But you never see, when players are just kind of lollygagging their way up and down the court, you never see the coach pull them out of the game. It's apples and oranges. It's hard to compare. But certainly, yeah, I think that there is that issue, not only with load management, but one of the reasons that I have a hard time locking into NBA regular season games is because I get bored quite a bit because I'm like, I'm not sure that there's really a whole lot of, fast-paced energy going on right now a lot of the time. Sometimes there are, depends on the team and the player, but in other cases there's not.
But really, like baseball had to go through this, and that we're seeing it now, and we like it. The NBA is going to have to do something, I think. Not like right this second, but at some point, this is going to be something people are tired of dealing with, and they're going to have to do something. All right, let's take a break. We can come back to the NBA playoffs in just a bit. We're going to take a break because coming up next, Sydney McKinney. She's the superstar right now on campus at Wichita State, trying to get some home playoff games for the Shockers as they try and finish out the regular season strong. We'll talk to Sid the Kid next on Sports Daily. We'll get caught up on that in just a bit. Let me catch my breath here. God, this day has been something out of the gates here. All right, welcome back, everybody. Sports Daily. Still trying to track down Sydney McKinney. We'll get her in just a bit and bring her on just as soon as we get her on. Tommy, Mass Street Collective, and we'll start this and we can pivot if we need to and then get back to it in a bit. So not Mass Street Collective, I shouldn't say it that way, but Mass Street now. So we get an announcement yesterday that we've got a return of KU alumni to Wichita. So, okay, we will get to that coming up a little later in the show. That's what's on tap for this hour. But right now, let's get to Sydney McKinney. Sid the Kid joining us here on Sports Daily for the first time this year, certainly. Sydney, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Good. You guys have a game at Kansas up in Lawrence tomorrow. We can get to that in a bit, but let's look back first. Conference champs outright in the regular season. This stuff never gets old, I would imagine. How does that feel?
Yeah, it feels really good, especially after last year. We kind of let it slip through our fingers. So this year we're kind of on a mission to make sure that didn't happen again.
Sydney, how does this season and the way that it's played out for you guys so far compare to the rest of your career? I know that this has been a big culmination of a lot of hard work, perseverance, dedication, all of that, but it's got to be, pretty fulfilling for you to have, done what you've done early in your career and then see all of this pay off this season.
Yeah, I think we have a really special team this year. There's a lot of new faces, and as of recently and throughout the season, everyone's done great, and it's really cool to see everything come together, especially since it's getting towards the end of the year.
Sydney, and this year too, just to sort of follow that as we're chatting with Sydney McKinney, superstar, biggest celebrity on campus, all those fun things. But, this year feels a little bit different, right, for you guys. At least it does from the outside. I wonder if it does on the inside, because you've got two pitchers right now, and Alex Aguilar and Lauren Howell, that you have to feel confident in, at least as confident in as you have with really anybody that's been through in the last couple of years, maybe to be able to take that next step. Those two ladies have been fantastic this year. And does that make it feel different as we come down the home stretch toward a postseason?
Yeah, absolutely. I think all of us have a lot of confidence in our pitching staff. Those two have done great. Allie's done great coming in, throwing her innings too. So it's really fun to play behind them and give them that confidence on the offensive side, because we feel so confident in them, especially having 3, 4, 5 that can all throw innings and come in and do a great job.
I want to ask you about the home and home series you guys had with Oklahoma State. I know that it throughout the last couple of years, conference play was one thing, But then whenever you guys took on like an Oklahoma State or an Oklahoma or an Arkansas, and you were in, the regionals, like those are, top tier, obviously elite national programs. That was always kind of a different story, right? This year wasn't the case with Oklahoma State beating them in Stillwater and then here in Wichita. What was that like for you guys as far as getting that feather in your cap of taking down one of the nation's top programs, not once, but twice?
Oh, it's always fun beating Oklahoma State. We always get up for those games, and we came out fighting. And I think honestly, we came out wanting to win more than they did, and we proved it. And it just felt really good. I think it gave us a lot more confidence, especially the pitchers, to see just how good they are and to see that we can go up against anybody.
Sydney McKinney joining us, batting .533 right now on the season. You heard that correctly. 16 steals, 96 hits. The record books just, blazing a trail here, Sydney. All of these reasons, and, we'll know you'll show some humility here, but we won't for you. You've been one of the great players, not just in the program history, but in the nation for a long time. And I'm saying all this because it's had me curious for a while. I've contended that you've been the most recognizable athlete on campus there at Wichita State, probably for the last couple of years. And we're entering a new era of college sports. We've seen you on commercials. We've seen the opportunities you've been presented. And I'm just curious, like from, when your career started to now and, coming back this year and all these things, how much has being able to, capitalize on your ability now in college athletics changed the way you've approached this? I guess off the field, obviously it doesn't change much on the field, but off the field, how much has that changed it? And just how good does that make you feel that possibility exists now?
Yeah, it's honestly super cool. The community here is awesome. I go out and pretty much anywhere I go, I can talk to random people about softball because they know who I am. So that has changed. I know when I first got here, not a lot of people knew who I was because I was a transfer. But I go out, whether it's Walmart, Target, on campus, anything, I should expect to talk to somebody about Shocker softball. So that's been really fun. It's just opened up a lot of opportunities for me, especially through NIL and through the success of the team that I probably wouldn't have gotten without those. And so that has been really fun to just show people who I am, talk about softball, talk about the sport that I love, and talk about the people that have gotten me here. So that's been really cool.
Sydney, it definitely seems like over the last few months or so, and really maybe even before that, there's been a renewed an additional commitment to Shocker softball, not only with the renovations to Wilkins Stadium, which I know will be underway here soon, but a commitment to Coach Breadbinner, the American Conference announcing that the conference tournament next season will be at Wilkins Stadium. I know that, you're getting ready to move away from the program, but long-term, just as a future alum of Shocker softball, what does that mean to you, knowing that the hard work that you and your teammates have put in, not only this season, but in prior seasons, has led to this additional and added commitment to Shocker softball?
Oh my goodness. It's so awesome because I feel like I definitely in the last 5 years just grown so much as a person, and the program has definitely grown with me. And so to see that all that hard work of the teams that I've been on and the hard work that I put in is paying off, it's just super cool. And I don't know if y'all know this, but I'm going to be GAing for the softball team next year, so I'll still be around.
Oh, nice.
I did not know that. That's awesome.
Right.
I'll still get to help out and still see the success of our hard work that we put in.
Are you going to be able, just to follow up real quick on that, as a GA, are you able to pinch hit? Like if they need you, can you come off the bench and pinch hit?
Unfortunately, no, but that would be cool.
So when you've got a chance then to continue to grow with the program, and again, like I wonder, like, what do you think life would be like right now if you didn't have the opportunities that you've had in these last couple of years, especially to grow with the community? And I bring it back to the NIL, but it's even bigger picture than that. Like, how important in the sports that aren't in the spotlight, how big of an opportunity have these things presented to you, and what do you think the future looks like for the non, traditional headline sports that make the headlines when we talk about, NIL and all those things? But man, it makes a difference for everybody, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And softball is growing slowly but surely. The views are up. Everybody loves it. It's fast paced. We're fun to watch. And so I think eventually softball is going to get there, especially with the two pro leagues coming up. They're doing great, so that's going to be fun. But yeah, it's just opening up a lot of opportunities, especially off the field. I've made a lot of connections that maybe somebody can give me a job one day because of meeting them through softball. So that's been cool. And especially now, like I'm continuing my education while still staying in the softball program as well.
What has it meant to you, Sydney, and to your teammates about the national respect that the Shocker program is getting now? So I saw just earlier today that your team now has the highest top 25 national ranking in program history. What has that meant to you guys to have sort of that national attention on you?
It's meant a lot to the team, especially because we have all thought that we should be getting that recognition for a while, for the last couple of years. And now we've kind of broke through that top 25 into the teens, into the 18. So that's been awesome for us, especially as a program, just showing how far that we've come and how far that we still want to go.
And to take that recognition a little bit further as we look ahead, and everybody right now has the same hope that you guys are able to host a regional. You guys are up to 18 in the RPI. The tricky part will be that Arkansas, Oklahoma State, and Oklahoma are also in there, but it's hard to imagine, putting together a better resume than you guys have. You've got wins over Oklahoma State. You've got the win over Arkansas. What do you guys have those conversations now, or do you let yourself have those conversations now? How do you handle right now as you sit and wait, other than going out and winning all the rest of the games you can play, obviously, but are you guys looking at that stuff yet?
Yeah, I think you kind of look at it all year, honestly, and we've made it to that point where we're right on the bubble of hosting one. And so that would be really cool for just the program itself, because we never have. But I think we deserve it. And even if we don't get it, we're going to go out wherever they send us and play hard. So I don't think that's going to affect us if it doesn't happen, but it'll be really huge if it does.
We got a viewer question, or I say viewer, sorry, TV talking. We got a listener question here, Sydney. Joe wants to know what your major is.
I'm majoring in criminal justice and getting my master's in criminal justice.
Whoa. Okay. So what do you envision, CSI stuff? Are you running people down? We know you're a great athlete. What do you plan on trying to do with criminal justice?
Yeah, I've always been into criminal justice, stuff like that. My dad, he was a police officer when before I was born, but he's always loved stuff like that, helping people out. So I am actually going to go to law school after getting my master's. So I really want to be an attorney.
Man, that's so awesome. And then you're an artist too, Sydney. I think that's something else that people probably know, but if they don't know, you love art, and you've got people can see. Is it at Homegrown where people can see some of your art? Are there how can people check out some of your stuff?
Yeah, well, I made a big piece for the Homegrown in Liberty, Missouri. So
okay, that's right.
People in Wichita probably won't see it, but I have an art page. It's called Sid Studio on Instagram, so that's where I post all my paintings.
You can go to Open Doors if you'd like to connect with Sydney and look for those opportunities. We love it. Sydney, you wear the banner of the university so well. We really appreciate that. You've been, again, the biggest athlete star on campus for a couple of years. The stats are all there. Everything's going amazing. We appreciate the time. Good luck in Lawrence. And then good luck in the postseason. No losses the rest of the way. We all know that, right? You guys can't, no losses the rest of the way, so we can get that regional here in Wichita.
That's the plan.
Okay, Sydney, we appreciate it. Let's do it again soon.
Yes, thank you guys so much for having me. Have a good day.
Said the kid. I'm telling you, like you go look up the numbers. You will not believe them. They're incredible. Team USA representative. We didn't even have a chance to talk about that. Like all the amazing things, and what a cool opportunity for that sport, which I love. Right, I love softball at that level. Absolutely putting it on the map here in Wichita, and it's been so awesome. If you haven't had a chance to check out a game, go check out a game. You will not regret it. If you're a baseball fan, check it out. You will not regret it. My dad came in town, Tommy. We took him, and because I knew he'd love it, and he was like, it was nasty weather, like it was windy and cold, and he was just like, yeah, I could get on board with that. I could watch that all the time. And like I told you, it's awesome.
It's so much fun. I mean,
really
enjoy.
Cool.
I think that, not just Shocker fans, but this community in general, enjoy what we have right now in one of the best college softball players to ever do it in Sydney McKinney, wrapping up her senior year. I'm glad to know she's going to be back with the program next year. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool. I did not know that. And maybe that's out there. I'll have to look, and maybe I did know that and I don't remember, but that is, I agree. That's really cool. Soon to be an attorney, which is also really cool. We're sitting here. Well, we're not as impressive as that. It's pretty awesome. Okay, real quick before we go, let's do one of our giveaways because we've got a few. Let's do Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 3, Thursday, May 4th, 7 o'clock. That's this Thursday at Boulevard Theater in Town West Square. We can get you a little preview of that if you'd like to go. Be the first caller right now to the IHOP hotline, 869-1240. Jad will find us a winner. We'll come back with more Sports Daily right after this. Hey, turn a loss into a win with BetMGM, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Place a one-game parlay wager with at least 4 legs on any MLB game. If all legs of the parlay hit for one, you'll get your stake back in bonus bets up to $25. Just log into your account or download the app and sign up with BetMGM to get started. Then opt in to the one-game parlay insurance promotion to receive up to $25 back in bonus bets if your parlay with 4 legs or more loses by just 1 leg. Only at BetMGM, the best place to bet on baseball. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 years of age or older to wager. Kansas only. New and existing customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets. Bonus bets expire 7 days from issuance. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700 in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Welcome back into Sports Daily, everybody. Our thanks to Sydney McKinney. Kind of giving us a little nugget there, which we really appreciate, that she's going to stick around next year as the GA on the program. That's certainly good news for all of us and good news for that program, which is just, sort of taken over. We love it. It's been so fun. And, it's sort of come in tandem, Tommy, with the return of baseball. Baseball's been really good lately. And, they're sort of getting into the mix themselves. They've got a big one coming up tonight as they host K-State. Look, K-State, if they could beat K-State, K-State climbed into the top 25. So as, Shockers softball probably doesn't have a whole lot of wiggle room to improve their RPI standing, as they have just one, regular season game left tomorrow, and then the conference tournament. They could get up there a little bit in the conference tournament. You hope that they get, good games there. But baseball has lots of time. They have 3 conference series left, 3 midweek games, and at least K-State in the top 25. So they've got a chance here. Of course, to, win the conferences. They're leading the way right now, but to improve that, status in the RPI. But it has been a very fruitful spring out there. And if we can get some good weather here down the stretch, I hope people are able to get out and enjoy it.
Well, I think we are. I mean, that's the good thing too, is that it looks like things are starting to settle down weather-wise for a while, warmer temperatures, all of that. But, you mentioned K-State. Wichita State beat them earlier this season in Manhattan for the first time in 11 years. It's been a long time. So they've already beat K-State once on the road. I mean, that means that a top 25 program like K-State is going to be hungry when they come into Wichita to play the Shockers. But, they're going to be looking for revenge. But this Shocker program, they know how to beat them. They beat them once before. So there are still opportunities for Shocker baseball to impress and to improve their standings as they're, trying to make a postseason push. I think that conference play is awesome, and what they've been doing and being able to be in the lead. That's great. But I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do for, solidifying a postseason run for them.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. And a long way to go. Don't want to, push too far. Of course, you heard the coaches' shows for both baseball and softball last night right here on KFH, which has been cool. Coming up in hour number 2, we've got, speaking of Wichita State, Sandy Sadler, who is, according to Paul Savage, the knower of these things, Wichita State's greatest tennis player of all time. So we're excited to get her in. Shocker fans, chat it up a little bit as she gets inducted into the Wichita Sports Hall of Fame. That's coming up top of next hour. We'll also get back into the NBA playoffs, the Big 12 going to Mexico, which is really interesting. And we'll get into that as well in the second hour. Man, Tommy, this has been a day. We've had, wackiness. People don't know this. It's already been going for a couple hours, and I was dealing with something and sprinting in here and so excited to make it in. We're in. We made it in the nick of time, and then my internet just craps out. I'm a little nervous to know what else is coming today. It just sort of has that feel to it, right? That it's going to be wackiness.
You and I were talking before the show about, me preparing to at least start off the show on my own. And, so I'm getting ready for it. And then you're there and I'm like, all right, cool. I'm off the hook. I don't have to do anything. And then your power went out or your internet went out, and, there we go.
That's the way it is. Hope everybody else's day is off to a great start. Hey, we appreciate everyone that's joining us on our video stream right now, which you can find on the KFH Facebook page and the KFH YouTube page. You can chime in when you watch as well. If you're watching at work and you can't jump on the IHOP hotline and call us or whatever, you can get your comments in that way too. You can also find it on our Sports Daily Twitter page. So we appreciate that. You can always go back and listen to the show too, by the way, if you're not catching it live on the Odyssey app, just search KFH. Which is a great thing to do because you can go listen to an interview with Sydney McKinney, by the way. And that's, that's definitely something you want to do. One of the great all-time athletes at Wichita State. I say banner carrier, she is. Like, she is, when you think of Wichita State athletics right now, and for a couple of years been the person that you think about. And I'm so excited for that program, that sport, and everything that she has become the local celebrity because, again, that stuff matters. It's why I think Wichita State can thrive in an NIL environment because you're in a big city, right? Like, most colleges aren't in that, right? You're not in a large metropolitan area. Wichita State's smack in the middle of it. And no football means more opportunities probably for the other sports with a good donor base. So I'm excited about that stuff. And I think it all matters for people. It's going to be interesting to see that program grow. The funds are there, and just hopefully to, go right in lockstep with this return of baseball, and both basketball programs have a little buzz right now. By the way, congratulations to Jason, who wins our Guardians of the Galaxy tickets. We'll have at least one more giveaway coming up in the second hour. So stay tuned for that. Excited to do that. Real quickly, Tommy, before we take a break, we mentioned the Nuggets there. The other game last night, 76ers Celtics. So no Joel Embiid. And it's like, all right, well, the Celtics are going to roll here. But here comes James Harden. And, James Harden leads the way. And I don't know how many people think he can still do this. Clearly he can. 45 points, was moderately efficient, pretty efficient, shot 50% from three, including 7 of them. My goodness. The stars for the Celtics were pretty good in that game too. And I wonder, as the Celtics are the prohibitive favorites who now have given up home court advantage, what do we think here? Anything to take out of this big picture, or is it not such a big deal for Boston?
Well, it shows me, I think, a couple different things. It shows me that James Harden still has a little bit of gas left in the tank. I certainly didn't see that coming. But man, he was able to step up, which was great. But then I think also what it does, it exposes the rookie head coaching of Joe Mazzulla with Boston. I think he'll end up being a decent coach in the NBA, but he was kind of thrust into that role with a really dynamic and talented team. Wasn't meant to be the head coach, but he is. And I think that there were some decisions late in that game that, ultimately cost Boston. And you could kind of see that, he's a rookie head coach, and, he might have got out coached a little bit. So I think that those are some of the things that stand out to me from that matchup.
By the way, James Harden, he was great this year. He had 21 points and 10 assists a game. I think he's caught a bad rap. I actually think he's been a nice, it's not even a bounce back, but
but nobody thought that he would be able to take over and dominate a playoff game like that.
Right. But what I mean is, I think that reputation that he developed over the years probably already needed to be gone. I'm interested in Philadelphia because Joel Embiid's such an interesting player. And I hope they can do something here. I don't have any real rooting interest in that series, but James Harden's an interesting player, and Joel Embiid is a really interesting player. And those two finding success on their way is something I could totally get on board with. 869-1240 is the number to call on the IHOP hotline. We're going to induct the newest member of the Wichita Sports Hall of Fame when we return. Plenty more to come in hour number 2. It's Sports Daily. Albracht and Castor. Jad Chambers producing. We'll be right back.
And 1240 KFH.
All right, welcome in, everybody. It's Sports Daily right here on KFH. Glad to be here with you. Jacob Albracht, Tommy Castor, Jad Chambers producing. Paul Savage jumps onto the program here to help us with another induction into the Wichita Sports Hall of Fame. Paul, there's your setup. Take us away.
Good to be with you. Tommy, how was the vacation? It had to be pretty darn good, I imagine.
It was great. It's good to be back. I'm happy to be back here. A little bit more tan though, which is nice.
Oh,
so I'm on board with that.
Well,
yeah.
You know, I've always heard that you were referred to as a bronze god. I don't know if there's any truth
Yes.
to that or not, but anyway, we're glad to have you back. Hey guys,
Thank you.
Today's a really special day. You know, it's not often we get to say we have the best at something. Everybody that I've talked to in the last few months with regards to Sandy Sadler, who we're going to induct into the Wichita Sports Hall of Fame, has said this is the greatest tennis player in history of Wichita State. Well, that's saying something because there's been some pretty darn good ones. And Sandy Sadler is one of those people. So I'm really proud to introduce this lady. Sandy Sadler, while she was at Wichita State, was one of the top collegiate tennis players in the country. Get this, guys. She won 4 consecutive singles championships, Missouri Valley championships, and 4 consecutive doubles championships. That's 8 total championships. That's all you can win. You can't win any more than that. That's pretty good. And Sandy Sandler is considered the greatest Wichita State tennis player of all time. She's already been inducted into the Shocker Hall of Fame. So it is with great pleasure we welcome to the show Sandy Sadler, the latest Wichita Sports Hall of Fame inductee. Sandy, welcome to the show. We're just so proud to have you.
Thank you so much. It's quite an honor.
Well, I just wanted to say this, that congratulations, and I would like to know one special thing about you is what is that one person, maybe 2 or 3 people that were so special in your career? Not everybody gets to a Hall of Fame by themselves. Most have a lot of help along the way. Who's that 1 or 2 special people in your life that helped you get to the career that you had at Wichita State?
Well, there's probably more than 1 or 2, but I would say, first of all, my high school coaches really encouraged me to pursue tennis. And then when I got to college, I had an amazing team. We had a lot of fun. We had a coach, Jay Lauterbach was my coach, and he was phenomenal. He was a really, really good coach, really good encourager, motivator. He gave me confidence and that I didn't even know I had. But yeah, I would say my coaches, my family supported me. I mean, there's numerous people, but those I would say were the ones that really believed in me and encouraged me to pursue tennis.
Sandy, take me back to your college days at Wichita State. What was that like for you, that time that you were there with the Shockers? What was the university like, the city like? What do you remember about those days?
Wow, that was a long time ago. I remember, I mean, the community supported us. It seemed like, our team and stuff. And we were a small team, so we were pretty close knit. Jay made it fun for us, and we just had a lot of camaraderie and, I don't know. It went so fast. I think it's been 30 some years and it just really zipped by pretty fast.
Sandy, I sometimes wonder, because after having talked to so many people about you, what you were capable of, how really great you were, I guess I've just got to ask the question, why not Wimbledon? Why not the U.S. Open? Why not the Australian Open? I mean, I think you had the ability to compete in those. Was there a reason you decided not to pursue tennis after your days at Wichita State in a meaningful way?
Well, I guess maybe I didn't have the confidence that other people had in me, maybe, but apparently I did okay. But I just, I would just go out and I would play. I wouldn't think about, making records and beating records, and I would just go play and do the best I could for my coach and my team. I thought about maybe pursuing it, but I kind of got swept off my feet by my husband, and we ended up having a family. We have 5 kids, and got busy with that, I guess.
Sandy, let's talk a little bit about the accomplishments during your time at Wichita State. Of course, winning 4 Missouri Valley championships in singles and 4 Missouri Valley championships in doubles. What was the competition like back then? And what do you remember most about competing at that level?
Like I said, I would just go out and play. I wouldn't think, anybody was, better or worse or whatever. I would just play. I never really thought about, like I said, I never really thought about breaking records and stuff. I just, I don't know, it's a long time ago, but I just did the best I could.
Well, what's the difference between tennis today that we'll watch on TV, that we will watch at Wimbledon or the Australian Open or whatever tournament it might be? What's the difference, the main difference between tennis being played today and tennis that was played while you were at Wichita State?
They look really, really good. You know, I don't know if I could have competed with somebody like, somebody that's playing at Wimbledon. I don't know. They look really good.
Well, you are way too humble, because you just don't win 8 Missouri Valley championships in a career and say, you don't think you can compete with them. I know we've interviewed people before in tennis, and a lot of times they talk about there's almost a difference between the power of the serve and the power of certain volleys. There's a lot of things going on in tennis that are becoming strength-wise. Could strength be one of those things? Are tennis players stronger today? I mean, physically. I mean, like where you could, bench press a couple 100 pounds heavier, stronger than players today. Is it just a stronger, more physical game than it was when you were playing?
It kind of looks that way. I don't know. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've played at that level, and I watch players today, and it just seems like they're hitting the ball a lot harder than I remember ever hitting it. I don't know, because I'm not at that level anymore, so I really don't know.
Sandy, what does this accomplishment, this accolade, mean to you, being in the Wichita Sports Hall of Fame? As far as from an emotional level, emotional perspective, knowing that you're being inducted in this Hall of Fame. Talk a little bit about what your feelings are around that.
Quite frankly, I was really surprised, but I really am thankful. I mean, it's quite the honor. I'm sure there's others that deserve it, but I really appreciate you guys thinking of me and honor me with this.
Well, I'm just stunned a little bit, because you're great. I mean, that's what everybody tells me. You're the best there is at Wichita State, according to all the people that I interviewed at the Wichita State athletic department. And so we're really, really proud to have you in this ceremony. And Tommy, do you mind? Is it time to go ahead and do the induction? Is that all right with you?
Yeah, go for it. Do your thing.
All right. Well, here's what we're going to do right now. We're going to induct you officially into the Wichita Sports Hall of Fame, Sandy. And I have your plaque right here. Normally we would have our cameras up and working, but we're having some problems today. And we will get it on camera here just in a little bit. But I just want to take this time and say how proud we are of you and what you've done. And so at this official time, Sandy Sadler, you are going to be inducted into the Wichita Sports Hall of Fame. And I'm holding your plaque up right now while we're streaming. And I just want to tell you, congratulations. You are now officially inducted into the Wichita Sports Hall of Fame with all the prestige and power that comes with this title. And congratulations, Sandy. You are officially inducted in the Wichita Sports Hall of Fame. Congratulations. It couldn't happen to a better tennis player. I'm telling you that right now.
Well, thank you. Really appreciate that.
Well, thank you very much. And Sandy, we wish you the best. And Tommy, isn't she something? I mean, man, that's a humble lady. If only you were that humble.
That's one trait that I think I could probably learn from Sandy. A little bit of humility there, but no, we of course appreciate, Sandy and her accomplishments at Wichita State, and quite an honor for her to be inducted into the Wichita Sports Hall of Fame. So that's great. I know we've inducted 3 people so far out of the class, Paul. Is that right?
That is
so.
Correct.
Several more, right? That we've got to work our way through.
Look, can I preview Thursday's induction?
Yes,
man,
please.
I'm excited about this because this guy has a tie-in with KFH, so it's really extra special for me when I get to tell you that on Thursday we're going to induct Dennis Higgins into the Wichita Sports Hall of Fame. Here's a guy who's been broadcasting baseball for almost 30 years. Started with the San Francisco Giants organization and has worked his way. Is now the play-by-play guy for the Dodgers affiliate in Tulsa. And has worked for 25 years at Butler County as the voice of football and basketball. And it's about time that we induct Dennis Higgins into this Hall of Fame. Should have done it several years ago, Tommy. That's my bad. That's my bad. I should have done that. But anyway, we're making up for it. Thursday, you and I are going to have the privilege of inducting Dennis Higgins into the Wichita Sports Hall of Fame. And he's a friend of mine. But my gosh, 25, 30 years of broadcasting straight baseball. Are you kidding me? And 20 years at Butler County in football and basketball. This guy's been around the block. I'm really excited about it. I know you will be too.
Yeah, quite an accolade for Dennis Higgins. And you know what? I remember him broadcasting Wranglers games, back in the day, back when I was a kid, and always tuned into his call of Wranglers games, back then. And so that's great. And that the fact that he's, still calling baseball and, working for Butler County Community College and all that, definitely well-deserved. And he's been a voice that's been in people's homes for a long time.
You've impressed me. Remembering the Wranglers, he was the voice of the Wranglers for 4 years. Yeah. And you've impressed me that you remember
thank
that.
You.
You know something, every once in a while you hop up and impress me. I don't know how it happens, but boy, I'll tell you what, sometimes I
try.
Catch me off guard and I go, wow, that Tommy Castor's pretty sharp at times.
At times. I wouldn't say it's consistent at all. But it's that old saying, even a stopped clock is right twice a day.
I love you, big boy.
That's kind of what I see. But hey, I'm looking forward to having Dennis on the show on Thursday to induct him. That's going to be quite an honor. So that's Thursday. Do we know what time we're doing that on Thursday?
I believe 10 o'clock, unless something changed. We're flexible. Dennis is flexible. Dennis, of all people, having been in radio all these years, knows what the word flexible in radio means, doesn't he? I mean, so we're good, but I've told him right around 10 o'clock.
Okay, well, that sounds good. We're looking forward to having Dennis Higgins to be inducted in the Wichita Sports Hall of Fame with us here on Thursday. Jacob, anything you want to chime in? I think you're back. Anything you want to chime in as we get ready to wrap up this segment?
No, you guys handled it well. I had another power surge. I'm telling you, this day is snake bitten for me. Wow. Snake bitten.
So come on now. You know what I would do if it was me? I would settle down and calm down with a nice cup of H2O coffee. That's what I need.
I need to get wired right now.
Well,
that's what I need. Yeah, no, I need
that thing too. I don't know.
I'm about to say, add a little something special to that. The way this day's getting going. All right, guys. Yeah. Well, congratulations on the induction there. We're going to come back. More Sports Daily. Right after this, we'll have a giveaway when we return as well. All right, welcome back, everybody. Sports Daily, KFH, Jacob Albracht, Tommy Castor, and now Paul Savage. We got a 3-shot.
How about that?
On the video stream right now. How about that?
There we go.
We're making our way through a Tuesday.
That's a
as
first.
Paul's inducting on Tuesdays and Thursdays for the next couple of weeks some Hall of Famers. I want to talk to you guys about the Big 12 here. Just continuing to do little things that make a ton of sense. The news yesterday that the Big 12 has been exploring this, according to Sports Illustrated. Big 12 been exploring playing football and men's and women's basketball games in Mexico City and Monterrey, Mexico, with a preferred top 10 men's hoops game between Kansas and Houston going down. I guess Brett Yormark's been.
Oop. I think we lost Jacob again. Looks like another power surge from him. I know the big story he's talking about is the. I'm glad you're here, Paul, because you and I can discuss this. But the Big 12, Brett Yormark exploring the opportunity to have Big 12 games in Mexico, both football and basketball. Are you on board with that? Do you think that's the right decision? Do you think that it makes sense to have the Big 12 go down to Mexico to play some football and basketball games?
Not even close. I mean, there's no way that I would ever entertain taking away commerce from my Big 12 towns. Now, there's some Big 12 conference members who are going to be in big cities. I mean, Cincinnati, Houston. You're going to have some of those, TCU and the Dallas Metroplex, I guess you would say. Fort Worth's big enough, but it's in the Dallas Metroplex. But I'm not for it because you look at little towns like Oklahoma State, Stillwater, KU, Lawrence, K-State, Manhattan, Iowa State. You go up and down the rosters all the way up and down this Big 12 conference. There are people that support these universities, support these athletic departments, who make a living based upon people coming into a city on any particular day or evening for a football or basketball game, and that's part of how they make their living. They support your university, and then you're going to screw them by running them out of their city, whatever city it is, and taking them down to another foreign country. And I don't care what country it would. I don't care if it's Canada. I don't care if it's Mexico. I'm against it because I know who butters my bread, and it's the small independent businessman who financially supports these programs, who makes a living based upon a certain amount of people in the course of a year coming into their college town or their city or wherever it is and spending money. And to sum it up, no, I wouldn't do it. I think it's hard on the people that are in these cities supporting their teams. No, I wouldn't do it.
You're crazy, Paul. Why wouldn't you grow the brand?
I would.
Why wouldn't you grow the brand?
You know something? There's a thing called TV. I think you kind of know what it is. That's how you grow this brand. You don't have to grow it by going. And by the way, what is the ultimate growth goal of going to Canada, going to Mexico, or going somewhere like that? I'm just telling you that I have a lot of respect for the people that support these athletic programs in their town. K-State is just full of those kind of people. And I don't know why I just can't imagine a scenario where I think it would be worth taking away the livelihoods or hurting the livelihoods of the people of my city, of my Manhattan, Kansas, or my Stillwater, Oklahoma. These people are the lifeblood of these athletic programs. I wouldn't do it. It's just me. Now I know we can make an argument why, but does it really grow the brand? I'll tell you what grows the brand is television.
Yes.
Grows the brand. Television, my friend, grows the brand.
Well, you act like these games aren't going to be on television.
I know that. I know that.
Why do you think that the NFL has games overseas every year?
Well, because they are wanting to expand to those cities. The NCAA probably won't go to Mexico or Canada. I mean, they might. One of these days, they might. That's a good thought. Maybe they will.
What do you think Brett Yormark's goal for the Big 12 is?
Money, revenue, eyeballs, all of that.
Security.
Exposure.
Don't forget security, Tommy.
Well, I mean, that's all there, right? I mean, like those are all priorities for the Big 12 in a world of conference realignment, and it's a rat race, trying to figure out who's going to be in what conference. I mean, this gives the Big 12 an opportunity to have, I would imagine, to make quite a bit of money and be able to then help those schools make even more money by expanding games in Mexico, I would think.
Right.
Mexico is crazy about American football, right? Crazy about it. So why not give the people of Mexico an opportunity, if they can't get enough American football as it is, another opportunity to get American football? Basketball, it's like uncharted waters, I would think. Like, you've got a chance now. Yormark is trying to make the Big 12 bigger than a college conference. And we know this. And maybe it's not bigger than that in football, but in basketball, he's trying to reset the entire way we think about how college basketball is viewed. And yeah, playing internationally is a big deal. And let's say it's not just Mexico, but Canada. How many great college players are in Canada? Lots and lots and lots and lots. You're expanding a recruiting footprint potentially by doing this. You're putting more eyeballs on your product. Oh, by the way, if you make fans in Mexico, they get to watch TV too, and ads can serve them. And all you're doing is trying to put more eyeballs. Brett Yormark's goal with the Big 12 is for the brand to be bigger than college basketball. And I don't know how else he's supposed to keep up with and try to keep the pace of getting swallowed up by these other leagues, other than getting as big as humanly possible. And if the next frontier for college athletics is to go into another country, go for it. I think it's a fantastic idea, and it doesn't hurt anything. You lose a home game, but you rotate it through in a series like this where everybody loses an equitable amount of home games. And all you have to do in basketball is schedule a different home game. Maybe instead of playing a neutral site, you go play another home game. Nobody's lost anything in that regard. In football, it's a little bit trickier, but not really. Like, you just add another home game. You don't go play a neutral site or a road game, and you just equal the same number of games. That's not that big a deal if you do it with the right planning in mind. It's all about growing this brand of the Big 12, and he continues to do it in a way we haven't really seen in college athletics, and he's treating it like it's a pro league. And guess what? It is a pro league.
Okay.
Everybody can say whatever they want to about big-time college sports and amateurism and all this stuff. It is pro sports, and he's treating it like it's pro sports.
All right.
And I think that's the only way you blaze into the new frontier.
Well, that's
I'm not.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tommy.
No, I'm just going to say I'm not for this idea, and I'm not against this idea right now, because as it stands this moment, it's an idea. That's all it is, right? So until there's a plan put in place and we know what the revenue looks like, we know what the member schools that are participating in this series are going to be able to get and how it's going to impact, I'm neutral on it. I'm okay with the fact that they're exploring it, but I want to see what this looks like officially before I'm willing to jump on board and say this is a really good thing for the Big 12.
Well, let's see. Jacob, he is strongly for it. I'm strongly against it. And Tommy's wishy-washy. Boy, that just...
I'm just going to ride the fence. I'm just going to ride the fence here. That's the way that I mean, look.
But here's
but I think it's fair. I think it's fair though, because we don't know what the plan is.
Right.
So I can't, fully say, yes, this is a great thing for the Big 12, or, no, this is terrible. We don't know that yet.
Yeah. Well, I love you. I love you, Tom.
They're also considering, by the way, long-term, adding baseball and soccer games in Mexico. Now, how popular do you think that's going to be?
Well,
when
we talk about recruiting and everything else.
Yeah. Now, Jacob, when you initially, proposed the question to me, you came up with a solution that I might be for. I'm not for distracting from home games because of my feelings for the love of the family businesses within a community with a university in it, who rely on that university and rely on people coming to town and supporting their team. I'm not for taking away from them, but you made a comment, and let me tell you what I would be for that you brought up. You didn't initially bring it up. You said it was just going to be a subtraction. Wouldn't you love to give up a game? No, I wouldn't love to give up a game.
I definitely didn't say that, but go ahead.
I would guarantee you I'm for adding a game. Now, if you want to add a game to Mexico City or Toronto or wherever you want to go, wherever you want to go, I'm for it. Go to Germany if you want to add a game. I'm not for subtracting a game from any of these businesses or from the life of the city, the lifeblood of a city for some of these schools. I'm not for that. I'm not for taking away. You want to add a game?
So are you not for, Paul, KU basketball playing in the Champions Classic when it's in Chicago against Duke early in the season, because that needs to be a home game against Emporia State for all the local businesses?
Well, I guess we can figure that out. Basketball is another story because there are so many games.
It's literally the same thing.
Well,
it's the exact same thing.
Okay.
You're playing a neutral site game early in the season.
Okay. So maybe that's okay because it is basketball. They're going to have so many dang home games as it is. I get that. But football is another thing. Most normal schools, have basically 6, no more than 7 home games per season. You want to take one of those away? I'm not for that. You want to add one, baby, I'm on board. You want to add a game? I'm there with you, Jacob. I'm there with you. I'm your biggest supporter if you want to add that game.
There's a lot of logistics, though, from the football perspective, right? Like, it's not just as simple as, hey, we're going to add a game. We're going to add an early season game, right? Because you're already – we're talking about a college football playoff that you're going to potentially – teams might be playing in more games because of that, extending out the college football season. Like, it's not just as simple as, oh, yeah, let's just add a game in Mexico. So I've got no issue with the basketball perspective. Teams go overseas all the time, right? Like,
sure
like a lot of those early season tournaments, like ones in the Bahamas – people are going to Maui, like they're all over the place, right?
That's right.
And so I don't have an issue with that whatsoever. But football will require a lot more planning and a lot more logistics in place to make sure that works out.
Tommy, they can do that. There's no, I mean, that's what they do. They can do that, and I'm all for that. The question is, do you want to have these kids playing another game? I don't have a problem with that either. Kids are getting bigger, faster, and stronger if they feel like physically this is a class of young men. And then when I say class of young men, I'm talking about that age, 18 to 22, 23, whatever the case might be. These are young men in their primes. I believe they could probably play another game. I think that would be a good way of doing it. I'm just not for taking away. I am for adding. I'm for more. I am for a lot more if you can get it. And I'm for
You're overthinking it. You're overthinking
I'm overthinking it. Boy, that's never been said about me.
And in 2021, Kansas State opened the season at AT&T Stadium in Arlington against Stanford. They're already doing this. They just did it in Arlington instead of Mexico City.
But they're not adding that game. But they're not adding. I'm for adding the game, adding a game.
What are you? But it's already happening. What are you talking about? In 2021, Kansas State started the season on a neutral field. Now, they could have very easily scheduled a cupcake at the Bill, but instead they scheduled a neutral site game. Were you furious that they did that and took that home game away from the local businesses?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be happy about it. I don't remember, it being a big point of contention when it happened. I probably would have if it had been.
Well, no, we were all excited about it. We're like, oh, that's cool. They're going to play Stanford, and they're going to play them at Cowboy Stadium.
The point is that yeah, you would be excited for it. But framed in the way of this conversation, it's almost like a different topic. I don't remember it being pointed out.
It's not being framed anyway. They're just trying to play a game overseas.
Yeah.
So in football, instead of playing SEMO on September 2nd and whatever, you play somebody in Mexico City.
Yeah.
Now, I think the goal is to do this with conference games. So you've got to rotate it, right? Which is what they do in the leagues that do this. You just rotate it to where it's equitable over a 4 or 5 year period.
Right.
And then everybody plays that game neutral site. There's also, by the way, for the university, I'm sure revenue sharing involved in something like that. But for the businesses, you might take a 1 year hit, but over 4 or 5 years, you're not taking any different a hit that you would have taken when they schedule home and homes with every school.
Don't have a problem with it. As a matter of fact, I can see where even adding this game might be advantageous. And the reason it might be advantageous, as I can see it right now, is that most conferences and the Big 12 is soon going to be one of those schools where you can't play everybody. We're lucky in a lot of ways to see the Big 12 play everybody. Everybody plays everybody in football. Everybody plays everybody twice in basketball. That's a beautiful thing. I really like that. But the day's coming where that won't be possible. And with this ruling, if this was between 2 conference teams, okay, I'm on. I like that. You play that extra game that takes 2 teams And I even like that better. Not some non-conference, not somebody against the SEC or you're playing a Big Ten team. Play somebody else in your conference that isn't normally on your schedule or won't be on your schedule for that given year. Play that game. Play that game with the conference. I'm for that. So, and even if it doesn't count because it would be an odd number of participation games for a championship to make it even, I get it, but here's the one thing I'm just saying is that you can always expand, make it bigger. You do not need to reduce the size of the pie for people in the world of sports. You increase the size of the pie for people. Don't reduce
adding
the
games
pie.
Adding games is something they've tried to avoid as they've tried to do CFP, and there's an academic standpoint to that. I don't know. I wouldn't have a problem adding another game because they play more games at the lower levels of college football. But
sure they do.
But that may get a little. I don't think it needs to get that complicated. Jason asks us through our YouTube stream right now, how many fans do you think would travel to Mexico City over a neutral site game in Texas? Probably not as many.
No.
But I think the point is, Jason, that you're not trying to get fans to travel to Mexico. You're trying to let the fans that already exist in Mexico have an opportunity to grow with your league. And if your league can get more eyeballs by early capturing the international audience, then that's going to be a big advantage to the Big 12 because it drives negotiations. When you go to a TV network and you can now say, hey guys, yeah, you want to stream X number of games, you want to put them on TV. Look at the number of people we're going to bring in from Mexico and look at the number of eyeballs that are on our games internationally. And if you can get a head start on that, and I think this is even bigger than football because football's a little bit different. But what's interesting to me about this is the basketball and the other sports components to this, because we know that Yormark wants to break out basketball into a separate negotiation, which I totally agree with because he wants to expand. He wants to grow that league, do all these things so that this is a totally separate negotiating piece. I think that's brilliant. And I think that's what's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you can do that in tandem with a bigger footprint, Tommy, I think that you just enhance your ability to do that. And I think in the end, that's a goal of all of this. I think they want this massive basketball brand that they can take to the table separately that would really amplify the league where it's never going to keep up in football. It's just not. But it can be better in the other sports. And that's how you stay even with the field, Tommy.
The only hesitation that I think that I have on the football front of it, and that I think that some fans probably would have, it's not even a revenue piece, not even the amount of money potentially being lost by losing a home game. It is if you believe in a competitive advantage playing at home in front of your fans. That's about the only thing that I think that you could raise that, because look, like go and we've talked about the NFL, right? And I've been totally on board with them going and playing games in Mexico. I've been totally on board with them going and playing games in London, and now going to Germany and all of that. I'm fine with it. And then we saw that the Chiefs are playing in Germany and they're losing a home game. And it's not a revenue thing for me. It's like, man, I really would have loved to have another game in Arrowhead because there is a competitive advantage, I feel like, by playing in Arrowhead, right? So I don't know how much that translates into the college game, but I do think that is another aspect of it where it's not just about the money necessarily. I get the fact that you're growing the brand and you're expanding the potential fan base and all of that. I just wonder if, some of these teams, at the end of the year would think, man, that might have been a different outcome if we'd actually played that game at home rather than playing it in Mexico City or wherever.
Right.
I think Paul,
yes,
on that. So I think what's interesting about that, and it would be different than the pros. I think in the pros as a fan, that your reward on that is a little bit different. But if you're let's say you're a Kansas State football fan and you know that the long-term implications for your program are to gain more resources in NIL, in a TV contract, whatever it is that could long-term help you land better players. Don't you think that slight, loss of maybe you don't get to play Cincinnati at home this year. You play them neutral site instead. Don't you think that slight in the schedule, in the big picture, if you created NIL opportunities out of boosters in another country because you were the first there that they fell in love with, don't you think that reward is far greater than the risk?
No, right. Yeah, look, I'm not debating with you on the reward aspect of it. I think that the reward aspect of it is there with dollars and eyeballs and all of those things that Brett Yormark is looking to gain. I think it's all there. I don't have an issue with that whatsoever, but it's not all reward and no risk. There is a little bit of risk there, even from a competitive on the field action standpoint. There is a little bit of a risk there that, yeah, the reward probably does outweigh it, but we won't know that until we actually get into it.
Paul, the Osos of Baylor going to be playing in Mexico City someday.
Right,
Osos is Spanish for bears,
yeah,
Paul.
Yeah. I didn't know that. Well, that's pretty cool. Well, here's the thing. That'll be fine with me because everybody will be doing it. Somehow it'll be equitable, and somehow it will be made up for those who support the teams on a local basis. It's going to happen. I'm not so naive. I'm no naive rube that you guys think I am. I'm not that guy. I get it. It's going to happen. It's going to happen whether the little small mom and pop businesses of every college town in America like it or not. It's coming, baby. Buckle down. Figure it out. Figure out a way to monetize it, but it's going to happen.
I think it's a great idea and at the forefront of what, if Big 12 does this, everybody will follow. I mean, they will. They'll do it because there's something there. I don't think it's on accident. All right, let's take a quick break. 869-1240 is the number to call. Let's do another giveaway here on our way out, and let's make it a 4-pack of WinSurge vouchers, which, of course, are good for any game that you'd like to go to. That's what's great about these vouchers. You call in, be our first caller to the IHOP hotline, 869-1240, and you can get vouchers, a 4-pack, to see a WinSurge game of your choice. That's courtesy of Sports Daily and KFH. Chad will get us a winner. Tommy, Paul, Jacob, we'll all be back with more right after this. Jet, bring a little funk here to us on Sports Daily as we make our way back. Glad to have everybody on board with us. This Big 12 deal to Mexico, it's gaining a little steam here. Starting to see reports on that everywhere. NFL news, Jordan Love gets an interesting new deal from the Packers. A little, outside the box thinking here. So they've given him a new contract. He's got a chance to make more money than he could have made if they pick up his option. I guess this is a compromise, it sounds like. The team was worried about giving him a whole lot of money when they haven't seen him. But that's not really his fault, right? This is an interesting one. Again, certainly not normal to give a guy who hasn't played at all essentially an option year, an extension or whatever. But Tommy, you sent this over. I guess it's about the right thing to do. It's not Jordan Love's fault he had to wait this long. It's just the situation's fault.
Yeah, the Packers didn't really have much choice either. I mean, they need to lock up a quarterback for more than just one season, right? I mean, they don't have Aaron Rodgers anymore. They are fully bought in to Jordan Love. They have been since they drafted him, right? And so the worst possible thing that could happen for the Packers would be if they only had Jordan Love signed through this season, and then one of two things happens. Either he's not good this year or he's really good and he leaves. Like, those are two bad things that could happen with the Packers. They need to have some security in him long-term. Even if this year isn't great for Jordan Love, they need to be fully bought in and committed that this is the guy that they want to ride with long-term. And, I think that them signing him to that extension shows that.
Well,
Paul, what do you think? Are you okay with giving an extra year basically to a guy they've never seen before? Because I think that if Jordan Love's not good this year, the Packers would be quick to move on from him. Now you're sort of riding with him for 2 years, but do you think he really has a 2-year leash here, Paul?
Right. I'm going to answer your question with a question. I'm going to ask both you guys on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being Hall of Fame caliber. Where will Love be as a quarterback in the NFL? Tommy?
I don't think there's any way you can answer that. I mean, you just don't know. You have no idea.
Got to have an
right?
answer. Got to give me a number. Give me a number.
God, shoot. Again, the Packers have evaluated him high enough to move away from Aaron Rodgers.
I was going to say 5 because I don't know. That's what I would say. That's what I would
know.
say.
Yeah.
I mean,
We don't know.
I think
you can go higher than that. I think conceivably higher than that is okay.
Right.
Because again, the Packers have evaluated him high enough to move away from a Hall of Famer to go to him, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I don't know, maybe a 7.
Lower is
6.5,
very much
7?
on the table too, though. And
That
and of
is.
course that's where the risk lies, right? Because you can look at, I mean, it is such a limited, right? Such a limited example and thing to look at this year. He had, what did he have last year? Like one game where he got a start, basically. Was it even that? No, it was sort of quarters of a game, right? Like he didn't have any game where he threw it more than 9 times last year. And then in 2021, he had the one start. It was against the Chiefs, right? And it wasn't good. And then he had a game late in the year where he was, he threw it 17 times. I don't know what we're supposed to, what we're supposed to guess at. The Packers get to see this guy all the time, but they don't even have, much of a sample size to look at.
Yeah. It's hard to assess it though, too, because keep in mind, like it's fairly similar to what the Chiefs did with Patrick Mahomes. I mean, I know Jordan Love has been on the bench for longer than Mahomes was, and Alex Smith is no Aaron Rodgers. So, don't mistake that. But, it'd be the same kind of thing like back in 2018, us saying, well, is Patrick Mahomes on a scale of 1 to 10, Hall of Famer? You don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know that. You have an idea that he's going to be pretty good.
But Patrick
because
Mahomes
of the way
had
that
a
he's
much
been
better
evaluated.
pedigree. Don't you think Mahomes had a much better pedigree coming in
Right.
than Jordan Love? Jordan Love was a bit of a stretch where they took him, which was a part of the curiosity of that pick. He wasn't like nobody was doubting Mahomes was a first-round pick. Love wasn't that kind of prospect. I don't know. I think that it's fine. It's an appropriate. I have no issue with it, with the Packers doing this. I just wonder, and maybe they are totally okay with a 2-year leash on Jordan Love. But man, when you're trying to rebuild, if he's not any good this year and you're committed to the money for 2 years, that's going to be tough to swallow.
Right. Right now, everybody's looking at the Aaron Judge factor on what signing these guys. Because look what happened with the Yankees. I mean, it cost them, $150 million over the course of a contract. So everybody's looking at it. By the way, Patrick Mahomes, I knew he's going to be great. I saw him against K-State drop a 60-yard pass with a dime. I mean, it was something like I've never seen before. At that very moment, I thought to myself, this guy's going to be pretty good in the NFL. That I remember thinking that sitting in my leather recliner.
Yeah.
I remember that like it was yesterday. That's when I knew he was going to go. So I knew he was going to be good. Jalen, I'm not sure if Love's going to be great. I'm not sure. I don't know. That's the problem. We don't know. That's why I said a 5. But they're going to pay him some money now because let's say he throws.
And it's not a lot of money. It's not a ton of money by quarterback standards.
But what if he throws for 4,500 yards and
well, then they got him for a cheap year. Yeah.
Well, then they got him cheap. There you go.
But Tommy, like the Patrick Mahomes, it was very clear was taking over for Alex Smith in year 2.
Yeah.
Jordan Love, it was like,
that's right.
When is this guy going to take over?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know Aaron Rodgers looks fine. Like, what are we doing here?
Well,
it's clearly the Packers investing in Jordan Love and then not doing anything with him. And now they're saying, well, we kind of have to do that now. We kind of have to see what he's gonna do.
My bad, Jordan. Here's a little scratch. Go be awesome. All right, 869-1240. We'll come back. We'll put a bow on it. Tell you what's on tap the rest of the day on Sports Daily. Takes over at 5 before Wichita State baseball and K-State tonight on KFH. Looking forward to that one at 5:40. Our appreciation to Sydney McKinney for joining the program. Our Wichita Sports Hall of Fame induction today. You can go back and listen to both of those on the Odyssey app. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. Congratulations to our winners. Thanks for watching on our video stream. For Tommy Castor, Paul Savage, and Jad Chambers, I'm Jacob Albracht. This has been a Tuesday edition. We'll see you tomorrow.
Sports, lighter news, and great comedy with Bob and Tom Mornings, 97.5 and 12.